Alrighty. First thing you guys need to remember is that you are going to follow me along step by step. Do not think about anything except the values that you see. So you guys already have your paper set up. In your palette, you have black, you have white, and you have one color. I chose blue. I've got a couple different brushes. I've got a small flat one. I've got a round one. I've got a little tiny detail brush. We're going to kind of move through a few of them. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to start off easy, and we're going to paint square number 11, which if you can see, square number 11 is here and it's just pure white. So let's go ahead and grab pure white and go ahead and throw that down onto the square. Now 12 is going to be our next color, and it's going to be having a white base. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put white all the way across my 12 as well. Keep your paint pretty thick. If you're keeping it thick, then that means we're going to be able to move your paint. So right here is number 12. So you can see 12 has a really dark value with a little bit of light. So let's say that this is going to end up being a shade of blue. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take this brush and take my paper towel, wipe off my white. I'm going to rinse it in some water, wipe that off again so that it's cleaned. If we try to put white into our black, we're going to end up with a gray. So let's grab a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of black on our brush, the tiny bit on my corner. I'm going to go ahead and make a quick shade of blue that's going to match. I'd say that looks pretty good. It looks like a really dark navy. And if you look at our visual, we know that it's going to be over here on this side. We're just going to go quick slather. Quick, quick, quick. Move it, move it, move it. I get a little line there. I'm going to wipe my brush. Just wiped it, not cleaning. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lightly drag it down the side. My white is wet underneath, and that's what's going to make a nice smooth value here. So let's go ahead. We're done with those. Let's go ahead and move on to number 10. This is our square. Okay, so you can see what we're going to be matching up here. This stays white. You can see that white is down here in the corner. Now, I've got a little bit of black in my brush, so I'm going to set that off to the side, grab a clean brush, and I'm going to go with white. Again, real quick, no thinking. Let's throw white over the whole bottom of this square. It's okay that it's loose. You guys can see a little bit of value change here. I'm going to go ahead and make that a light tint of blue. So I already had white in my brush. I'm just grabbed a tiny bit of blue. Swirled that in there. And if you can see here, we're just going to match this value. It's really, really light. I feel like you need a lot more white. Trying really hard to keep my bristles with the brush not all the way up the middle. So just the bristles. And I think that that looks like a better value match with our light blue here. So we're going to go up in the top corner. We're going to go ahead and put in value here. And you can see how it kind of fades into the pure white. So I'm not pressing really hard on my brush. I actually lift up quite a bit and just kind of lightly dab it. Sometimes I'll even take my finger because I know it's clean, and I'll kind of smear that back in. So I've got a pretty good value change, but you notice there's some darker marks there. Well, we already have a darker black or navy here. So what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and grab my brush I had before, grab a little bit of that old color, and kind of dab it through to make these little texture marks. You can do that with a round brush or a flat brush. I'm also wiping off that brush again. I just kind of wiped it on the side. I got that white out of there. I'm going to grab that same dark blue, and I'm going to make these strokes across the top. Just real quick. There's one, there's one, there's one. I'm getting a little white in it, so I'm wiping my brush again on my palette, grabbing the dark color again, and swiping it down. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and move to the next box, which is going to be number 9. So you can see how these value changes kind of mix in to the box number 9. So we're going to go ahead and grab this light blue that we had before that we started down here. Let's go ahead and grab some white first because I see that it's lighter underneath. So I'm going to grab a base of white again. My lightest color, I kind of really globbed it on. Okay, now this is still wet. So what I'm going to do is take this big glob and just kind of wipe it off into my palette. Just kind of wiped and squeegeed. I didn't want to get rid of all the paint, so I'm not using my paper towel. And I just kind of want to blend that up together just a little bit. And you can see I've got that gray underneath, but what's going to happen, or that lighter color, what's going to happen is I need to get that dark on top. So setting this brush aside, grabbing my brush that's got the dark in it, and I'm running out of dark navy. So what I'm going to do is grab some more blue, grab a little bit of black, and make more of that dark navy so that I've got it for the rest of the painting. So essentially, you're just checking the values. You are not thinking anything about the subject. You are picking darks and lights that you see, and you're just matching them. It's all you're doing. Be real loose with the paint. Don't try to make it perfect. You don't have time to make it perfect. We're just doing just gesture, quick lines. All right, I'm grabbing a little bit of that dark navy, and I'm going to do my best to grab it from this next box and just kind of move a little bit of that paint. And again, I'm just dabbing just to try to create these textures. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close. I got that all smeared in. I see there's a darker value underneath, so I swiped that in there. I don't swipe it too much. I swiped it, got too much off. So I dabbed the side of my brush to get more paint on there, and then I'm just going to lightly tap it in. Do not try to overwork it. Now, if you see there's a huge dark spot over there, I've got some white on this brush. I'm going to wipe it out with my paper towel. Stay with me here. Don't lose me. I'm going to grab some dark navy, and I'm going to throw that in the top. And I'm going to try to be very careful not to overwork it. Let it sit because it's really dark. And I've got that white paint underneath. And I don't want to mix it. I want that to sit right on top. There's a mark there. And then I see a little mark of line right there and right there. So I'm going to let that go and let that sit. So we're done. We're moving on. Let's move on. We're going to skip this box here. And you know what? Let's do number 8. So this is number 8. This one is going right here. We're going to paint that value right here. And again, I'm going to go ahead and grab my brush that I had sitting next to me that's got a bunch of white in it. That needs to be pure white like we had underneath. So I'm going to kind of wipe that off. I'm going to get some pure white, throw that down. Put a little bit of blue in it, so I'm going to try to grab it from, oops. Go ahead and glob it down. No worries, do not freak out. Just match what I'm doing. So I just covered that white again. right over the top of box 8. Now we're going to use the same color we had here, and we're going to drag it up into this box, into the same area. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this brush that had some of that tint of blue in it, or the shade of blue. So I'm putting the dark blue in there, and I'm going to take it, and it looks like it goes up about halfway of that box. So I'm going to take it and drag it up and tap through and try to get that to mix in with underneath. It gets lighter over here, so I'm going to kind of lightly drag it. Again, it's also part of the pressure of my brush. I'm not trying to smear it in. I'm just trying to get this paint to sit right on top. Now, I notice it's really dark in that one spot, so believe it or not, I'm going to grab a tiny bit, just an itty bitty bit of black, and I'm going to throw that right on top right here. Pure black right on top of that blue, so I can get a darker value in there real quick. And I know I can because it's wet underneath. All right, done. Moving on. Next box. Let's go ahead and do number 4 because I know it's going to be just the same as this one. So we're going to do box 4 next. So we're taking this box and we're going to paint it right here. So let's go ahead. I'm still working back and forth between my 2 brushes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my brush that's got the white on it as the tint of blue. And we can see that it's pure white again. And I've got a little bit of blue on my brush. So take my paper towel. I'm just wiping it off. I'm not rinsing it. I'm just wiping it. I got a mess here. Wipe it off. Pure white. Kind of got it globbed on here. Go ahead and throw that down in box 4. Don't be afraid to cover over that pencil line. I kind of grabbed it from the box below. Real quick, throw it down, done. Move on. All right, I know that this is more of a lighter blue right here. This value right here, it kind of looks like the value we had down here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that, which is my blue I had right here. So it's got a tint of blue, so it's a little bit of white in it. I'm going to grab that, lay that down first. I know it's going to mix because my paint underneath is wet, so I've got that white base. Stir that in there and let that sit. Okay, and then I know that on top, actually, it's got a little bit of a light blue over here too. So let's take a little dibby dab of light blue and let's throw that in there and just kind of dab that in. Okay, done. Don't overdo it. Don't rush. Don't over mix. Let's take our dark navy again. So your shade, so your darkest color with your black in it. Take that, and I'm going to drag that just like I did before. Just drag it right through. Sometimes I use the side of my brush too and just kind of tap it through, getting that shape here. Don't overwork it. Just tap it through. Whatever mark it makes, let it sit. Okay, done. Let it sit. Ooh, you know what? Let's just do that. Okay, done. Let it sit. I just dragged it because I want that value to be a little bit more smooth, and I had it kind of globby. So I lightly touched it and done. Move on. Okay? We are moving on. So we're done with that. All right. Let's go ahead and you know what? Let's start with number 1. And we're going to maybe work across the row here. So let's start with number 1. And if we look here, the background, I feel like the base is not pure white. It's more of this tint of blue here. So let's go ahead and switch my brush back. And we're going to go ahead and get the tint of blue, which is going to be this one right here. So I'm going to grab my tint. I'm starting to run out of blue a little bit. Let's go ahead and make some more. I'm going to make a little bit more of that tint. Just grabbing some white, mixed it into what I already had, and that actually worked out better because it is a lighter value. So we're going to use that really light tint of blue. Make sure I got enough here because I'm going to need it for my 3 boxes. So a real light tint of blue. I think that looks pretty good. That's a light blue there. Let's go ahead and take it, and we are going to cover this whole thing. Since it's mostly of the background, we want to have a base there and keep it wet so that we can drag some of this darker color over the top. Okay, just let it sit. I'm not making it perfect, letting it sit. Okay, let's go ahead and grab your shade, your darkest shade. So I got my black with my color in my pencil here. Okay, now you can see that the box comes down about right here. So let's take that dark value and just a real quick swipe it across. And then you can see we've got strokes that go like this. So we're going to go ahead and stroke. Again, try not to move a lot of that white. So I'm starting to smear it and it's starting to look gray again. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe my brush off, grab some more black. I'm sorry, the dark value. It's not pure black. It's your dark value. Okay. Let's go ahead and take your brush strokes and move them through just like this. Quick, quick, quick. Do not sit. Don't like hold it and swirl it. It's a quick brush stroke right on top so we don't lose those brush strokes. Real quick, real quick, real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and move down here. Grab the bottom right here. Take it and just draw that line. And lightly tap through there just to get that value to move. Okay, you can see where I'm at. Now I'm going to take this brush. I'm going to make these real quick marks. And my brush is a flat brush, so I don't think I'm going to move it. I think I'm just going to set it here, press, and just let the brush do its job. I don't think those marks are dark enough. So what I'm going to do is wipe this. I'm going to grab a little tiny bit of pure black, guys. And I'm going to do the same thing again and just let it sit. Wherever it goes, wherever it goes. We're done. Okay, we're moving on. Moving on to the next thing. All right, let's go ahead and grab this one here, which is going to be number 2. So all this is going to go here in the second box. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with that base again, which is going to be that light blue here. And let's go ahead and cover it. So we're going here and we're going to cover it with that light blue. Quick, quick, quick. You can see I went over the pencil lines. This is going to be our base. We're going to try to get this line to match up with what we've got here and all of these marks across the top. So let's go ahead and grab your navy again with your flat brush. And I'm actually going to grab some of the regular color again, just so I can get some other colors in there, some other values. So I put a little bit of the regular color in with my shade. Loading up my brush, got quite a bit of paint on there. What I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to try to draw that line from here all the way to the corner. I'm going to go ahead and take these marks across the top and let's try to just let those marks rest. I'm going to take my brush and just like the flat side and just let it streak right across. Because if it's skipping like that, it might just naturally make those marks. It's not perfect, guys. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for you guys to be loose and matching values. Okay, so we're here. This is here. I'm going to go ahead and grab some pure black again on my flat brush. Pure black. And just really lightly dab across and try to get some darker values in there where I see them. And try not to smear it too much. We don't want a bunch of streaks through here. We're trying to leave some of the wider spots open. All right, let's go ahead and grab my brush, and now that it's been sitting here for a minute, what I want to do is really lightly try to see if I can drag some of that darker value through, because it's not a perfect line. I'm going to go ahead and grab my darker shade again and kind of make that line just a little darker. And now let's go ahead and get some pure black on that brush. And we're going to go ahead and make these marks. Again, try not to press really hard. It's going to be a really quick, light line. So quick stroke. Don't try to paint over it. So whatever the brush is doing, just let it do its job. If it's not perfect, it's fine. Let it go. Okay? So we are good there. We're going to move on. Next one that we're going to do is going to be number 3. We're going to go ahead and throw that in there. And you guys might be noticing what this is, and you're going to try to keep your mouth closed and not tell anyone. Okay, here is your lighter tint of your blue. We're going to throw that down as a base again, keeping super loose with it. Now, it tried to go into our pure white streak here, and we want to kind of mesh those values, except our pure white is dry now. So I'm going to try to grab a little tiny dot of pure white, and I'm just going to bleed those two colors together a little bit better so we don't see a line through there. So we're good there. Again, it's just a quick swipe. Otherwise, if you try to go crazy with it, it's going to you're going to make a new color and you're going to lose all your textures. Okay, if you notice here, it's a little darker up here in this top corner. So what I'm going to do is grab a little bit of my plain color, okay? And this is really, really, really wet. So I'm going to lightly throw in a little bit of my plain color in areas. I'm going to wipe my brush off, and since it is really wet, it should mix. It's not mixing like I want. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit more of my shade. Kind of really lightly scumble that over. Okay, and that was that value here. Now, mine doesn't look perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect. We're just trying to get these marks to lay there really lightly. I just did the value change underneath. Now I'm going to go ahead and do these streaks across the top. And if you remember, we did that with this brush here. So let's go ahead and grab that. We got to go quick. We got to move a lot quicker now so we can get going here. Do not think about what this is. You are matching values. So take that, streak it through. That looks like it's coming here and here. Again, whatever your brush is doing, keep it going. Do not try to, so you got that glob there, no big deal. Okay, let it go. No touching, we're done. We're moving on. Just a quick strokes. Done with that. All right, now if you don't know what we're doing yet, you're going to know here in a second. So we are going to just paint what we see. Do not try to fix this. You're not fixing anything you've done. We're keeping it just like this. So you can see all the details here. We're going to try to work on all 3 of these really, really quickly. So if I'm noticing this, I kind of see my light blue there again underneath, my really light baby blue. So a lot of white and a little bit of your color. So you've got your tint really light. So let's go ahead and throw that down as a base. So that way when we're painting the rest of it, everything is going to kind of melt right on top. So I've globbed quite a bit of paint on this number 5 box. All right, now for looking here, I kind of see I'm not doing these dark strokes yet. What I'm going to do is grab some of these darker colors, more like a medium. So instead of mixing, I'm just grabbing my original color right on top of my brush. It's got a lot of white in it. And all I did was just grab a little bit of my regular color, and we're going to draw with it. So let's go ahead and draw this little value here. I'm just going to plot it in. Plot it in here. Plot it in here. Again, just dab it in. Do not try to overwork this. Okay, now you can see here my space here is not the right size. So what I'm going to do is grab some pure white. I'm going to clean off my bristles. I'm going to grab some pure white, and then I'm going to adjust it real quick. Throw that in there. Again, I got it all globbed on here. I got a lot of paint, which is good because that'll give me something to move. Real quick gesture. I'm going to go ahead and throw some white paint here. And I got pure white. Let that sit there. Okay. So I've got kind of the general gist of that. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab my darker colors now. So let's work on our shades. So go ahead and grab your brush that's got your shade of your color. So your darkest color, let's go ahead and grab that up here and just draw the line and drag that through. That's it. Don't touch it. Let it go. Let's go ahead and dab using the side of my brush. Let that sit in there because I'm doing these values right through here. Let that sit. Done. Not moving it. It's actually working out really well for me. Lay the brush on its side and just let it kind of sit. Just tapping it in there. There's a line here that comes from the bottom. One there. And then what I'm going to do too is go ahead and drag my brush around. Get that dark value in there. Part of it right there. There's so much on my brush, I was just able to lay it down. And same thing, we're going to go ahead and do these lines. Let them sit. Try not to push your brush down so much. You might be able to get it just by tapping. And tapping some of those values up out here. All right, let's go ahead and take your light brush and work with your shade. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my baby blue shade or tint, baby blue tint, baby blue. And I'm going to go ahead and work out this area because I made it way too thick. So let's adjust that. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get a bunch of white on the end of your brush and just make a dot. Bloop. Okay, that's it. No touchy. Moving on. Moving on. Okay, let's go ahead and make the next box is going to be number 6. We're going to go ahead and work number 6. And let's go ahead and just take our tint. And since you guys are getting the idea on this subject, let's go ahead and drag this and kind of draw out this part. As we know, it's going to be pretty far down here and here. And then let's go ahead and take some pure white. You have to wipe your brush off, do it. So let's do some pure white down here. And I'm really globbing this on because I want to be able to have enough to move later. And then I'm going to kind of drag a little bit of that pure white in between the skin down here so I can kind of mesh those two. And then we also want some pure white up here as well. So let's dab them right up here. I'm not looking at the lines on the top. I'm just dabbing the white color underneath. Let's dab this with pure white again. Okay, so kind of drew that in there. So let's go ahead and grab our shades. So grabbing your darkest color again out of your palette. And let's go ahead and draw the outside of the shape right here. Draw that in. I'm going to kind of wipe my brush off because I got some white on there when I did that. Go ahead and grab your dark shade again. Let's go ahead and throw that really dark line in there. Let it sit. It's not dark enough. So I'm going to grab some darker paint. Okay, let's drag that and let it sit. I might not even drag, I might just tap so I can get that tapped in there. Tapping, because I got a lot of paint on there. So I'm going to tap that through. And then this is here, so let's go ahead and tap some other darks through here as well. And then we've got a darker value up here, so I'm going to tap that through. And I see kind of a blobby texture through here. So again, let the brush do its work. Sometimes just setting it there will make the mark you need. And don't worry about what this looks like right now. You're just matching values. You got to trust yourself. You got to trust the process. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wipe my brush off because I got a ton of paint on here. And I'm going to grab pure black on my flat brush, a little bit of my color, and I'm going to go ahead and make these texture marks up here, but I'm going to just try to match them into what I had from the box above it. And the same thing down here. Let's go ahead and grab these again. I'm just touching. Oops. Okay, I smeared it. We're good. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Let these connect. I got these marks under here. I want all that to connect together. Okay, we're done. We're moving on. Last box. Last one. Do not fix any of this. Let it sit. You're done. You're moving on. Look, this one's so easy. This is all going to be pure white over here. Got a ton going on in my paper towel right now, so I'm going to squeeze this out. I'm going to get pure white, which is going to be awesome because it's going to sit really good with this area here. So let's get pure white. Pure white. Hopefully that marries into this box here. So pure white through here. Try not to cover up what you did before. Pure white. I'm going to go ahead and throw another coat down here just to cover all that. Quick, quick, quick. Move, move, move. All right, we're done. Let's go ahead and grab our tint of our blue. So our really light baby blue, or the really light color that you've got. Your tint really light. We're going to go ahead and mark that up here because I see a little value change here. Remember, we're just going to do what's underneath first. So I'm just going to kind of blob some color choice and color changes here and there. Kind of let that smear in. Okay, I'm going to grab some white because that messed up. All right, here we go. All right, let that go. I just had to change that out. Okay, let's go ahead. Now that you see all of this, all we got to do is throw in our darks. So grab that dark brush again. Grab your shade of your color. I'm grabbing your shade here. Mine looks pure black, but it's not. It's a shade, so it's got black with my color. Let's go ahead and on the top of that cornered box, which is going to be right here, let's go ahead and grab that line. Pull that in. Pull that in here. Pull that mark here with just a tap. I just tapped it. Let's go ahead and throw, this is a pretty dark spot. Tap that in. Tap this here. Again, I'm not even looking at this right now. Don't even look, okay? Cover that up. Don't even look at it. I'm looking at this box. Just painting it here. Do not try to match it up with anything right now. Let's see here. Let's pull this line up. And again, I dragged it too much. I need to just tap it because I'm pulling that white. So my brush is not working when I'm dragging it. I'm just going to set it here and make those lines this way. And this way. And I see a couple dark ones right here. Trying not to drag too much of that white with me. It's underneath. Okay, I would say that box Looks good with that box. Okay, and you are done. Good job.